fixing the mess, an uplifting story. I imagine most of this will seem pretty familiar to the vast majority of you. On June 12th I got up to preach, as I am a pastor. My wife, whom I've been married to for 5.5 years, and together for 11, told me that she had a stomachache, and she told me to go ahead without her. That she'd be right behind me. Julie never showed up for church. I called her between class and service and got her voicemail. I went home after church in her car, clothes, and toiletries were gone. She left a note. In the note she told me that at the end of 2017 she had an encounter with someone. She wouldn't tell me who it was, only that it was someone I didn't know. She said that it was quick in nature, but that she was afraid to tell me about it. She said she is gone, and she's not coming back. She said she wants a divorce and gave me instructions on how to file online. Nobody knows where she is. She didn't tell anyone. She said she's been planning this since the end of January. She took about $800,000 with her, and some of my things are missing. Such as my iPod, my old wedding ring, from the days when I was a bit chubbier. And most of all, precious trinkets from our dating days. She says she's out of state. I do not think that an uneducated girl who has never had a full-time job, who has never lived as an independent, could pull this off by herself. I imagine someone is helping her. She says this all started because she was afraid I would hit her. But I'm not buying that. In the 11 years that we were together I never so much as pushed her. I love this woman more than anything in this world. I have no idea what to do. It's bad enough that she cheated on me, but she has sealed herself away. And I can't even talk to her to try and deal with the issue. I believe that divorce is the absolute last option to be exhausted. Not the first, but I have no idea where she is. Her phone is off, and she only turns it on once every Sunday to text her mother to tell her she's safe. I really need help. My shrink says that I need to move on, that she's not coming back, and that she has emotional issues that were damaging the marriage anyway. I'm a caring, good-looking guy, and I can do better. And deserve better. But what people seem to be missing is that I don't want better. I want my wife. I love her. Julie has always had severe emotional issues. When she was 12, she discovered that her father, who is also a preacher, was having multiple affairs with numerous women. Some of them from the church. She discovered this because her mother confided in her. I don't really have the ability to appreciate the impact this can have on a child because my childhood was great. But she never got any kind of counseling for this. The situation with her parents has left her emotionally cold in many aspects. She has trouble showing emotions, and definitely has trouble communicating. Even when we were dating, whenever she'd get upset, she'd shut down. She'd go home and destroy things, precious things. She has always been like this. She recedes and purges. I knew this going in. I love her and was willing to deal with it. But I never thought that she would eventually leave me. This was her ultimate purge. She threw out our scrapbook that had 10 years worth of memories. She either threw out or took all the plush toys I've given her over the years. Except one, the first one we ever had, a white bunny we named Button. I just heard from her mom. Apparently, she's living with a couple with a few children, renting a room. She's in a training class for yoga, I guess to be a yoga instructor. She has reiterated that she has no intention of returning to me and is upset with her mom for talking to me. As far as finances go, I made a new bank account the day she left. She took me off the credit card so it's in her name only. I refinanced the car, so it's in my name only as well. The car she took is in her name. I'm pretty angry right now. 11 years in and I was still opening the door for her and singing her lullaby songs before bed. She took something precious, something beautiful and destroyed it. So, what the hell do? I blew 11 years on that girl. I'm 30, I haven't been on a first date in over a decade. What am I supposed to do with the memories? The presents we used to buy for each other? What am I supposed to do every time one of her hairs gets caught between my toes? I haven't even been able to throw her bathroom towel into the laundry for Christ's sake. She just gets to walk away, start a new life, and forget everything. I'm the one left with ghosts and broken promises. Comments. You need to accept what has happened and begin to move on with your life. I know you are at a loss as to how to begin. First, you need to allow yourself time to grieve and not worry about jumping right into another relationship. You wouldn't be doing yourself any good or the person you would be with. In time the anguish will subside and you will know when it's truly time to start dating again. You will always love your wife. That will never change. She just doesn't seem to have the same love for you that you have for her. You will survive this and come out a stronger person in the end. If your wife should return to you, I would say to tread very carefully and set ground rules on her return. You don't want to end up in the same situation with her again. You need to be stern and not put her up on a pedestal any longer. She never belonged there in the first place. She needs to know that you are the head of your household and that you will not stand for her behavior any longer. If she truly believes that she is the way she is, because of her childhood, then she needs to get individual counseling. Basically, she needs to take ownership for her actions, show remorse and repentance to you, and do her hardest to show you that she loves you as much as you love her. The burden of the hard work will be on her because she is the one who transgressed here. If she's not willing to do all this and more, then you need to rethink taking her back. You need to make her aware of what it's going to take to heal you from this and hold her accountable for her actions. I wish you the best of luck, my good friend, and will keep you in my prayers. May the Lord bless you and keep you. A year later, OP responds, "It's been a long time. What you guys said was right. Things hurt like hell, but I am healing. The divorce will be final this month." As for Julie, she ended up running off to Sedona, Arizona for about a half year. Early this year she moved to Broomfield, Co., and she's actually going to be moving again before the end of this year. I don't know exactly what her game plan is, but it's clear that she doesn't want me to be a part of it. The good news is that everyone wants me. I got propositioned by 5 beautiful girls in the past 4 months, 3 of whom were 9 years younger than me. I politely explained to them that they were of a different generation than I, and that I'm not ready to be in a relationship quite yet. But I have to admit, it was unbelievably flattering. The better news is that life is improving. I'm getting out of preaching, and I'm going to go back to school and work on my master's. I'm moving away from Pa, and I'm going to be among friends. There are moments, tender moments, when I remember my precious Julie and miss her terribly, but I realize that this truly was her fault, not mine. I had to deal with the immediate consequences: the empty apartment, the memories of all the walks we had together, the stores we went to, the plush toys I bought her, and the shows we watched together. But the long-term consequences, the responsibility for the murder of a sacred covenant, and the eternal consequences of openly mocking a commandment of God, are hers. I want to thank all of you for the support you gave me. Know that it did not go unnoticed, and it will never be forgotten. I have had the support of literally thousands of good people and preachers from all over this country. People who love me, and I love them, and I love her, but she knows only how to love herself. Maybe God will help her with that. Her motivation, I would imagine that it's really an ultimate form of escape. She says she just wasn't happy with me, but I think a better way to diagnose the issue is to say she can't be happy. At least, not in her current state. She's dabbling in Buddhism right now, which I find simultaneously discouraging and annoying. But she is going to have to sift through the pods before she realizes the magnitude of her error. At the end of the day, she's a troubled person who has a tendency to simply purge and recede whenever she feels threatened, insecure, or inadequate. I will concede that sometimes I wish she would just swallow her pride and come back, but I believe that she is never going to mature that much until very late in life. One of the things that I am reluctant to admit is that I still love her dearly. I believe I always will. The affection, passion, and sheer zealotry I have for that woman refuses to diminish. The difference is that I am able to put away the impulse to pine for her. I simply won't do it. She either changed or was never the woman I loved to begin with. I must disagree with you on one thing, though. I believe she loves herself, and only herself. Many people will sometimes ask, how can someone love themselves and still do something like this? I liken it to asking the question, how could a woman love herself if she has an abortion on a whim? I think rather the problem is far too much self-love, not too little. There's no question about how I feel. However, I do love her, and always will. Nevertheless, I put her up on Cheaterville today. I've had numerous people tell me that God took her away from me for my own benefit, because A, she was damaged, and did not know how to be a good wife, and B, because she was my everything. I loved her more than anyone or anything, including God. Idolatry is a very accurate way to describe my love for her. The good news is that I really am moving past her. This week was tough because it was the 1-year anniversary of her departure. The things I truly wrestle with now are how to process, why did she really leave? Was she a bad wife, or was I a bad husband? Did she turn evil, or was she always such, just with an excellent guise? Was she unhappy because of me, or because of her? I can hypothesize, but unless she's willing to talk and especially get counseling, which she's not, there's no way to decipher these things. Everything is called into question for me. Was I a bad lover? Was I just bad-tempered? Did I not praise her enough? Did I not challenge her enough? I am a bit haunted, but the vast majority of these haunting are musings, questions about my own personality, not hers. I don't know what she takes away from this experience, but I am engaging in some deep introspection. Everyone in my life seems to unanimously agree that this is her fault and not mine. I caution myself during moments like these. It is very easy for me to simply say she cheated, then lied, then left, but I am taking this time to meticulously evaluate myself, to see why she cheated in the first place. From the time she cheated to the time she left was a year and a half. But we were having some problems during the time of her one-night stand, or whatever the hell it was. My question is this: was the infidelity a knee-jerk reaction to some of the issues we were dealing with? I honestly felt like for most of the first 4 years we were just rock solid, and our 5.5 previous dating years were incredible too. But she has become so cold, and she said that something died. So, the question remains, is that her fault or mine? I can be a real pain sometimes. I'm good at debating, and she's not very good at expressing herself. Our interactions could be frustrating for her whenever we had arguments. My perspective on the matter is this: There are times when people have the worst brought out of them. Spouses are usually the only ones who see that. But whatever Julie went through, I went through as well. We went through the same crap, but she's the one who gave up. I figure this, I still loved her even though there were times when she made me want to scream. Refusal or inability to communicate, saying things were fine when I knew something was bothering her. I loved her so much. She's the one who gave up, not me. I hope my hypothesis is a sound one. The part that pisses me off is that I know that if she's talking to some shrink, he's not going to help her see the error of her way. He's going to try to help her do what's best from this point on. But if she doesn't learn from what she's done, A, she's not really being helped, and B, she will carry her problems into whatever relationship she has in the future. I just want to be able to look back and say in good confidence that I was a good husband. But I don't want to say it if it's not true. Everyone has told me that she has no peace, that she is running from place to place, that she left not just me, but all our friends, family. I would say in a world that makes sense she would not be happy in her current state. Of course, in a world that makes sense she wouldn't have left to begin with. I loved her and cherished her. Here's one of the letters she wrote to me back in September. I don't want you to worry about giving me any ERA funds. You made the money that went into it, and it's completely in your name. Your best option is to keep the account active and keep adding to it for yourself. My old phone has been thrown away. Don't worry about paying for minutes. Your not filing doesn't make me upset. If you don't, I will, but I simply can't afford it right now. Uncontested divorces don't cost much, so if you do have the funds, you are welcome to go ahead and file. Yes, I really did commit adultery. Everything I said in the letter about myself was true. I'm not interested in keeping the marriage alive, as much as it must hurt for you to read it. I have to say it. Please grow from this in God's love, Julie. And again, when I asked her why she's going to sell that 4,000 rings for 1,000, I am selling the ring because it is worth more to me as monetary value, not something to be kept in a box and pined over. I am a being of light, and one day I will leave the ring behind. It is metal and stone from the earth, and it is of greater use to me as financial support. It's not about erasing you. The memories are still there. If I became senile one day and lost the memories, I'd also wonder where I got the ring, so it's all the same to me. Don't be frightened by my decline of your financial assistance. I merely don't want to take advantage of you in any way. And because I care, I want you to save up money for yourself. Yes, I understand the scriptures on divorce, and I am not in a relationship with anyone. I did not leave you with intentions of starting a relationship with anyone. I still believe in the Bible, still love God and Jesus and all the souls in heaven. I do not love you in a way that a wife should love her husband. I love you as a being of light, as I myself and all other souls are. I ask that we speak in messages instead of phone calls because that is just what I'm comfortable with right now, and you accepted that. Hopefully this message will carry what you need to know. That I am not interested in keeping the marriage alive, as I stated in my last message. Growing in God, Julie, it's disgustingly detached and emotionless. He is looking out for herself, and she is indeed honoring her own feelings. But that is it. She is not being responsible in any way. How is she responsible in lying to me for a year and a half when I confront her on her dwindling commitment? How is she being responsible when she lives off of me for 6 months so she can save up enough money to leave me? How is she being responsible when she lies in hundreds of little ways to keep me from perceiving reality? Where is the responsibility in faking a stomachache, waiting for me to go to church and then leaving while I'm away? How is she in any way responsible? Where is the responsibility? Where is the accountability? I'm not trying to be offensive to you, but everything you say is debased right there. I would not accept your words as valid or even rational. Edit. I may be wrong, but I don't recall referring to her as incompetent. Please represent me faithfully. And when I say uneducated, I don't mean stupid. I mean literally uneducated. She dropped out of college. I don't mean to say she's not smart, because she is. There's no excuse for not coming to me or agreeing to go with me to therapy. She's uneducated, not crazy. Months later, Julie is gone. The divorce was finalized months ago, and then I moved to Tampa, FL, to start over. In the past few months, I have healed at an insane rate. Getting out of the apartment did wonders for me, and I have been among friends and family, along with a strong and soothing church. I am 31 years old and have been fervently praying for so long, begging for guidance and relief. Relief that for a long time I believed was never coming. For the first few months after my wife left, leaving a note informing me that she had cheated on me, I wanted nothing more than to have her back. I sobbed and screamed, begging God to have her just walk around the corner. I fantasized about her, and in the days between consciousness and sleep pretended that she was sleeping in my arms. I refused to put her towel in the laundry, insisting that I would never do so until she came back. I screeched in agony every time one of her hairs got caught between my toes as I walked through our home. You need to understand that I was so alone, so depressed and lost that I actually developed the trimmings of a relationship with the dehumidifier in my basement, it being the only other thing in the building that made noise. I told her that I loved her, knowing that she couldn't hear me. I kept the dining room clean, waiting for the day when she would tell me she was sorry and wanted to try to fix things. And then a seething, hideous rage burned within me. My brother, who was in the SF, found her almost immediately after she left but didn't do anything because I begged him not to. By mercy left me. I found both her and the piece of crap she had slept with, a chubby-faced loser who worked with special needs adults. A steel fan, and a pitiful excuse I could snap in half with my bare hands. I breathed smoke and hated. I almost had the two of them eliminated via my brother's connections. I would be lying if I said that I do not still sometimes get angry about their decision to sin against me. But the good news is that today, I am happy. For the past 6 months I have been happy. I have come so far and healed so much. Because I have come through this, endured so much pain, I am able to perceive and experience joy and pleasure more so than I was before. And more so than most people will ever be graced with. It is difficult to explain except to say that when you live in shadow you can better understand light. If all you've ever known is light, it is not light. It just simply is. I still have the connections I need to look Julie up, but the plain and simple fact is that I just don't care anymore. For the rest of my life, I am able to say that I was a faithful and loving husband, and that I did not want to destroy my marriage. Wherever she is, she will, for the rest of her life, have to endure the reality that she was the one who is the destroyer of good, godly things. Wherever she goes, the ghosts of her actions will follow. I have a new life, a new church, and a new job. Best of all, I just recently started dating a wonderful 21-year-old girl who is a nurse. She's highly intelligent, educated, and moral, and she is totally into me, and I in her. I have to say that this time last year I never thought that I would ever feel what I feel at this exact moment. To ever feel love again is something that I for many nights had thought impossible. But I have felt true restoration from God. I have been given a new chance to find happiness, love, and true, untainted peace. I tell you this to let all of you know, all those who are hurting, the pain, the horrible, blinding, stabbing pain that cripples you in ways you cannot explain or even fully perceive. Morning light shall burst bright. Every twinge of betrayal, the despair, the sadness, the insane frothing desire to reclaim the one you love, the horrible, debilitating reality of knowing they will never love you as much as you love them. The smoke that pours from your nose in fury as you curse them and snap your teeth at them. I have felt every bit of it, and I tell you now morning is coming. This black awful night is infinite only until the first, smallest ray of white light pierces the horrible, horrible mire. The rising orb immolates everything around you and even you yourself. Your eyes hurt and the process is painful. It is the pulling of a tooth. It hurts and hurts and hurts and then it doesn't hurt. And even though I know most of you only through this forum, I can tell you that one day we'll raise glasses together and bask in the light that shines from his face. And we will understand the light because we have known first the darkness. Morning light shall burst bright. Weeks later, restoration is grand. I have a new life, a new home, a new woman, and a new beginning of all things. Many people have asked me if I'm happy. The answer is a resounding, and in my opinion obvious, yes. But many people have also asked me how I now feel about my ex. I have in the past year experienced a varying degree of emotions. For the first month I was simply in agony. Sadness gripped me, an overwhelming sense of loss. I continued to move on only because I had committed to moving on beforehand. I had no inner drive at the time to do so. I could only rely on the decision I had made beforehand based on my faith and knowledge of God. Afterward I was angry, I felt betrayed, because I was betrayed. The realization of who this person truly had infuriated me. I had worked hard to provide for and love this person, and everyone saw it, including her. And yet this person had also stabbed me in the back, left a bomb for me at home, and then blasted me to all my friends and family with her lies and rationalizations. But in the end, I had, as I became more and more objective, sympathy for her. My ex had serious issues long before she ever met me, and she obviously could no longer stop them from erupting. It was equally obvious that she simply didn't have the parts one requires to be a good spouse. Sympathy, compassion, forgiveness. Those are the things that followed. But in response to such musings, people often ask, can you really forgive and forget? Or I would forgive but I wouldn't forget, and even how could you possibly wish her well? I have pondered these questions, and I believe I have an answer. I think it depends on what you mean by forget. Clearly, I will never forget what happened to me. It was a life-altering event, and has changed who I am, as all cataclysms do. But when we say, I forgive but don't forget, the statement itself insinuates that we are still harboring hostile feelings. Of course, we cannot always cognitively erase things from our minds, even if we want to. But when I say I forgive and forget, what I mean, hopefully, is that I care for that person and will not incorporate whatever wrongs I have suffered at their hands in my future interactions with them. These kinds of statements really don't have anything to do with forgetting. I think it's really making a statement about how we now regard that individual who has wronged us. As for wishing my ex well, I should preface before I assert, terms like good and well have, in my estimation, been woefully twisted in this country. I just want her to do her thing, and I focus on my own. I'll once more give you that poignant and personal example. As some of you know, when Julie left, She decided to be a dear and send letters to all my close friends and family utterly lambasting me, telling them that I was abusive and that I had actually wanted her to cheat on me. I have never and will neither at this point bother to answer these claims, but at the end of each of those letters she concluded that I can no longer live a lie, and that I have to stand up for what's right. Let's take a look at what she has actually done, rather than what she says she has done. She cheated on me. She hid it from me when I started to suspect her erratic behavior. She planned to leave me for the better part of a year and siphoned over $8,000 of our savings into a separate account. She did all these things in secret, all the while acting as though we still had a healthy relationship. As healthy as she could make it seem anyway. The night before she left, we watched a movie together. She told me she loved me and kissed me. Finally, the day she left, she faked a stomachache and told me to go to church without her. When I came back, she was gone, and in her place was a letter. That was the first I knew of any of her plans. I do not tell you this to evoke sympathy. I tell you this simply to show the discrepancy between what she did and what she says she did. She says that she needs to stand up for what's right, but she and I obviously have different understandings of certain terms. By stand up she evidently means run 2,000 miles away, and by for what's right she means for me. At a very basic level her self-deception is no different from that which grips innumerable people including Christians. The very simple and sinister idea that if I like it, it must be the right thing to do, or that someone is well when they have what we choose to regard as peace. But whether I am well is not contingent upon my own perception of things, especially my perception of myself. The deciding factor is my status with the Lord. I don't know when this truth became so widely forgotten, or when Julie herself forgot it, but I know that in both cases it was long before I entered the scene. With those thoughts in mind, I will say, yes, I wish her well, because even if she is happy as a clam right now, which I sincerely doubt, she is not well. She has lost all trust and credibility with her family, friends, and the man who loved her most, me. But most importantly, she has lost her status with God. When she made her choices, she wronged not me, but God primarily. Her battle cry is I want to accomplish my own will, not God's. Of course, she wouldn't phrase it this way like all narcissistic sociopaths. She truly believes that whatever she wants always happens to coincide with what is right. She would say something like no one is in charge of you but you. But the fact is she will one day meet the source, the one from whom all good things, discipline, integrity, loyalty, and selflessness, flow. When I say I wish her well, I mean that I wish for her to find God again, because the thing she is calling God right now is in fact the very antithesis of God. She is sacrificing wellness for happiness, and even still, I find what she calls happiness to be highly dubious. God is love, but God is wrath as well, and the answer to her sickness is not to continue in it. But I honestly believe she will, because she is obviously either unwilling or unable to come to terms with what she has done, and instead has begun to redefine what she has done. Almost half a year later, growing up my best friend was this girl. We met at a Christian camp and had this unbelievably volatile chemistry. We cared for each other deeply. We would talk to each other about everything: boyfriends, girlfriends we were with, problems we were encountering, fears and expectations of life. There was always a deep attraction and pull between us, but we were afraid to ruin what we had. We never dated. We never even kissed. When I was a senior in high school, I finally put it all on the line. I told her I loved her and wanted to be with her, that I knew she loved me too and I wanted to get a shot at us, that we'd always regret it if we didn't. I then gave her this beautiful diamond bracelet that cost me $800, which for a kid working at Burger King is a lot of money. She was already knee-deep in love with someone else at the time. I didn't know it, but they were pretty serious. She told me no, that we would always be friends, but that she couldn't be with me. I was devastated. I tried to hold it together until she said goodnight, and then I broke down driving home. After that I got angry. We went to the same university after high school, so I got an eyeful of them together, which drove me insane. At some point she asked me how I was doing and I went off on her. I called her a B, that she had broken my heart and that I wished I had never met her. She got pissed at me and stopped talking to me altogether. Her boyfriend and I were in the same dorm, and as we got to know each other I realized he truly was a good guy. He was always magnanimous about taking the girl I always wanted. He never rubbed it in my face. He would always be very humble and kind to me. A good, wholesome man. I came to accept the situation and even applauded her for her choice. I'm chaotic, he was stable. I came to a point where I truly wished her well. I cared for her and wanted what was best for her. I told her that, apologized for my appalling behavior, and moved on in my life. I very rarely ever thought of her, or them, or us. I got over it. And then about a week ago, she called me out of the blue. Just started talking to me, asking me how I'm doing, how she was wondering how I am, how she was sorry she wasn't there for me during my divorce, etc. How I look really good these days. Have I seen this movie? Have I heard this song? We caught up, had some laughs and said goodbye. She contacted me again, on Facebook. Again, questions. I ask her what's wrong. She stammers and says she regrets the way things ended between us. She admits to me that she led me on. I was backup, I guess, the one guy who would always be there for her. She feels like she used me. I tell her it's really fine, that I'm okay. I've been to hell and back a few times. High school drama isn't really anything I fret over these days. She contacts me again and tells me what I've dreaded. The thing I hoped to never hear but I knew she was eventually going to say. She tells me she made a mistake, that she wishes she had given us a shot and that she's been pining for me since 2002. What? I'm upset. She tells me she still has the bracelet. I ask her about her husband. She tells me she loves him but she's thinking about me a lot. She has unresolved feelings for me. I don't know why she's telling me this but it's making me feel really weird. I thank her for her honesty but ask her why now. She said she just had to get it off her chest. She and I are continuing to talk to see what exactly the deal is here. It is clear to me that she is highly attracted to me, and if I am being honest, I can feel that attraction washing over me, affecting me. I'm flattered. I feel attractive, and then I feel sick. I got angry and spewed everything I have learned from this place right at her. I told her to tell me about her amazing husband, her 3 beautiful children she has with him. I tell her that he is at a distinct disadvantage here because she only gets to see me in my glory. She doesn't have to see my imperfection, which are many. I tell her he doesn't even know he's competing for her affections now. I tell her every moment she spends thinking about or talking to me, she's taking away from her loving husband. She admits that she's starting to get annoyed with him and fantasizing about me. I tell her that's because she has the ducking fog. I'm winded, and I unload all of it on her. She acknowledges all, dismisses nothing, says I'm absolutely right, and then calmly tells me that she feels what she feels. She's sorry she's turning my life upside down and now she's sorry she told me. But her feelings remain. I feel like I'm an oak but I can hear the hinges creaking. I had a dream about her last night. I know what I need to do. Or to be more precise, I know exactly what I need not to do. I would like some additional accountability. I talked to my family and girlfriend about this. I will never cuckold this guy, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't tempted. She spoke to my mother this morning, which is good. I didn't think she would call her, but she did, and told her the situation. She told me that she has been harboring these feelings for a long time, and they're not going to be killed right away. She begged me not to cut off contact. I don't really know if I'm making this clear. This isn't just a woman. This is a family friend, someone I loved dearly, and someone everyone wanted me to end up with, and continued to love even after we didn't get together. You will be tempted to think me too soft when I tell you that it is extremely difficult to cut her off completely. She is begging me, sobbing, pleading with me not to. I told her, commanding her. I told her we cannot be just friends. If we foster a friendship, it will grow into something else. It can't level out, it will either die or continue to grow. She's saying some things that definitely cause my ego to swell, but I told her I'm taking a step back. She wants to come down in October and I think I'm going to make myself unavailable at that time. Again, I won't presume to fool anyone and say this isn't affecting me, because it is. I'm usually all for the truth, but this is one occasion where I just wish she hadn't told me. I was a lot happier before I knew she's been wanting me for a decade. I don't often miss her, but once in a while I encounter some ancient memory, and it hurts like you wouldn't believe. It is often the good memories, not the bad, that hurt the most. I don't know if anyone in this forum really knows about me, but if you know me, you know my stance, that I am extremely pro-divorce. I am glad my ex is gone, but sometimes when I am caught unexpected by these feelings, I feel the same discrepancy as that of a small cabin and a meteor. Does she ever even miss me? She told me in her letter that she would always have a place for me in her heart. The notion wrecks me. It would not do me well to lie to myself about the facts. The reality is, despite what she said when she left, that the vast majority of our time together was wonderful. She was happy with me. I made her laugh. Sometimes she was so happy she would just start crying in my arms. When a game called Fallout 3 was released, and she would watch me play it every night. We loved the music and would sing it together. Today one of those songs came on the radio, and it just ducking wrecked me. She was more than my lover, more than my wife. She was my best friend, and the person whom I trusted above all others. I understand now the magnitude of divorce, and what you have to become to survive and cope with it. It is not a healing, it is a severing and cauterization. It is mercy killing. I'm not saying that it's not good. I'm not saying it isn't for the best, because I know at least for me, it was. But sometimes I can feel my heart lurching forward for someone who is no longer there and, in many important ways, no longer exists. Almost a year later, I'm engaged to a beautiful woman who loves me. There was a time when I seriously thought I would never be with anyone again, just some guy who sees random college girls until I'm too old or too lazy. I thought I could never trust again, love again. I was only half right. You can never truly trust the wayward. I know many of you will be so upset, but the reason you are upset is because you know it's true. I'm not saying you can't be happy with the wayward. I'm saying no matter what, you will always wonder in the back of your mind what they're really doing. Is trust. doubt, fear. These negate the purpose of a relationship in my opinion. People say to leave and move on is the easy way out. I very much beg to differ. The tendency is to lean towards familiarity, comfort. Even if the familiarity is horrible, people usually won't jump unless the fire gets hot enough. Moving on and moving to a new area was the most frightening, sobering, humiliating and beautiful thing of my entire life. I have truly been reborn. Colors are brighter, bacon is chewier, love is stronger. I love my fiancé in a way I can't describe. It's nothing like my last life, which is good in an incommensurable way. If you face the fear, if you face the unknown, there is nothing left to fear. I am not afraid anymore. My comment. How you guys like this good ending this weekend? Wanted to provide something positive during this cold weather. Check out the recent story.